The electromagnetic range hummed with the distinctive whine of charging capacitors. Nyla adjusted her stance on the gel-padded floor, feeling the artificial gravity generators beneath her feet cycle through their calibration sequence. 0.92 Earth standard today. Close enough. Check out the greenhorn, someone muttered behind her. She's holding it like a museum piece. Nyla's fingers tightened around the grip of her plasma pistol, her thumb resting high along the frame, index finger indexed straight along the slide. The weapon felt wrong in her hands, too light, too balanced. Martian engineering always overcompensated for the lower gravity. Brian stepped up to the lane beside her, his movements fluid in the reduced gravity environment. Third-generation Mars colonist, according to his file. He'd never felt Earth's full embrace, never had to fight against one full G pressing down on every muscle, every bone. First time off-world, he asked, not unkindly. His grip was textbook Martian Academy low thumb, aggressive forward cant, compensating for recoil that barely existed here. Something like that, Nyla replied. Instructor Voss strode down the line, her augmented eyes scanning each cadet's form. 40 years in the Interplanetary Defense Force had left her with more cybernetic parts than organic ones. But her mind remained sharp as Titan ice. Cadets, you're here because you scored in the top percentile on the aptitude exams. But scores mean nothing if you can't put coherent plasma on target in combat conditions. She paused at Nyla's station, her ocular implants whirring softly as they focused. Cadet Nyla, explain your grip. The snickering started immediately. Nyla had heard it before. At every station since leaving Earth. Too rigid, too controlling, fighting the weapon instead of working with it. High thumb creates a natural point of aim index, instructor. Straight trigger finger prevents lateral pressure on discharge. It's how they taught you to shoot on Earth, Brian interrupted, grinning. Compensating for brutal recoil from chemical propellants. We don't have that problem here. Plasma pistols have 90% less recoil than ancient gunpowder weapons. He's right, another cadet chimed in. Your stance might work for antique firearms, but this is modern combat. Voss held up a hand, silencing them. Cadet Brian, demonstrate proper Martian technique. Target sequence alpha. Brian squared up to his lane, dropping into the low, forward-leaning stance they'd all been taught. His grip was loose, adaptable, ready to transition between targets. When the holographic targets materialized downrange, he moved beautifully, fluid, economical, fast. Plasma bolts spat from his weapon in rapid succession, each one finding its mark on the human-shaped projections. 92% accuracy. The board lit up with his score, and scattered applause rippled through the range. Excellent fundamentals. Cadet. Voss turned to Nyla. Now you. Nyla took a breath, feeling the thin Martian atmosphere in her lungs despite the station's processors. Her body still hadn't adjusted, still expected the thick oxygen-nitrogen mix of home. Everything here felt fragile, breakable. She assumed her stance upright, rooted, immovable. The grip that had been drilled into her muscle memory since she was 12 years old. The technique that had earned her a marksman rating in the Terrestrial Defense Corps before she'd volunteered for off-world service. The targets appeared. Her first shot surprised her. In Mars's reduced gravity, her usual compensation for muzzle rise was unnecessary. The plasma bolt sailed high, missing entirely. Laughter erupted behind her, but Nyla had spent her entire life adapting to changing conditions. She'd trained in Denver's mile-high altitude, in Manila's sea-level humidity, in the zero-G simulators beneath Geneva. Her brain calculated the new variables in microseconds: gravity, differential, atmospheric density, weapon characteristics. She adjusted. The next 15 shots happened faster than conscious thought. Her Earth-trained grip provided something these Mars-born cadets had never needed: absolute control. On Earth, a loose grip meant wildly unpredictable shot placement. Here, that same rigidity allowed her to place plasma bolts with surgical precision. But it was more than that. The high thumb position, derided as outdated, allowed her to drive the weapon between targets with none of the bobbing motion that plagued Martian shooters. The straight trigger finger, unnecessary for recoil management, eliminated the subtle lateral deviation that came with the curved trigger finger technique. She moved through the sequence like a dance she'd performed 1,000 times, her body compensating for Martian conditions while her fundamentals remained Earth-solid. The final target dissolved. The range fell silent. 100% accuracy, 4.3 seconds faster than Brian's run. Voss walked slowly to Nyla's station, her expression unreadable. When she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper, but in the quiet range, everyone heard. Only Earthborn can shoot like that. Brian stepped closer, studying Nyla with new respect. How? The technique's all wrong for reduced gravity. It's not wrong, Voss corrected. It's optimized for a different problem set. On Earth, shooters fight gravity and recoil with every shot. They develop absolute grip consistency, because any variation means failure. That same consistency, that same rigidity, becomes a superpower when you remove the variables they train to overcome. She addressed the entire class now. Every one of you was born and trained in 0.3 to 0.4 G environments. You've developed techniques that work brilliantly here. But Cadet Nyla trained in 1 full G. Her fundamentals are forged in conditions 3 times harsher than you've ever experienced. Nyla holstered her weapon, watching understanding dawn on her fellow cadets' faces. The Interplanetary Defense Force doesn't just need Mars shooters or Earth shooters, Voss continued. We need adaptability. Cadet Nyla, you'll help develop our Earth to Mars transition training. Cadet Brian, you'll work with her to refine her low-gravity techniques. As the cadets dispersed to their next training module, Brian fell into step beside Nyla. I underestimated you, he admitted. We all did. Nyla smiled, feeling Mars's light gravity lift her steps. On Earth, we have a saying, pressure makes diamonds. And what does Mars make? She glanced at the red planet visible through the station's viewport, thinking of the challenges ahead, the adaptations still to master. I guess we're about to find out.